Them really have me ask.
Some people wanna go for so much more before they really learn about life's score. The subject is not to be ignored.
Could I never pass?
Yes, I don't wanna be the one to tell you how it's gotta be.
Never.
Gotta be. Living is the only way I really wanna see.
Good life.
Got to see you gotta live and learn. I wanna be the one. You gotta live and learn. Tell you how it's gotta be. Before your bridge is burned. Living is the only way.
Get a
You
youth.
gotta live and learn. I really want.
You don't stop. Father, look what the world I come to every lad. We go through this struggle, Father, place. Run, come help we out now. How we have to survive some way, somehow help we Lord. We go through this struggle. Too much negativity, I'm gonna make trouble. Look how we did I want them, but them never did a listen. Some never did a listen, so them didn't get the blessing. When Jaja come, tell me who them a go run to. One big Jack Wint and the whole world tremble. Run to the rock, gonna look for rescue. Same time the rock I look somewhere we run to. Father, look what the world I come to every man. We go through this struggle.
Something in my heart says this isn't right. It's causing me to worry day and night. You say that you love me, this I have heard.
And
Don't you know that actions speak louder than words? Second class, give me that second class.
What you want?
Whatever you're doing is not good enough.
Right. Make sure you're
Second class, it's like a knife. If you don't want me, just get out of my life, out of my life, out of my life.
Oh, and them want to see those type of loving. Hugging and kissing, I no mention caressing when me sing. Girls request the decent type of loving. Hugging and kissing, I no mention. Watch this. When up front every time, no second class thing. No man in the world I share them something. If you love her from start, why you put on the ring? What you want to break her heart and hurt her feeling?
Second class, give me that second class.
Make them jump on those sections.
Whatever you're doing is not good enough. Second class.
Have mercy.
La 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 la.
look at yourself, mankind. Bible are fulfilled. What does it say? Wonders.
Smash DJ Dalvin. Do it, you know.
It's a little story about life. Everybody that live will surely die. A lot of people ask the questions why.
Them really have me ask.
Some people wanna go for so much more before they really learn about life's score. The subject is not to be ignored.
Could I never pass?
Yes, I don't wanna be the one to tell you how it's gotta be.
Never.
Gotta be. Living is the only way I really wanna see.
Good life.
Got to see you gotta live and learn. I wanna be the one. You gotta live and learn. Tell you how it's gotta be. Before your bridge is burned. Living is the only way.
Get a
You
youth.
gotta live.
On a warm summer's evening, on the train bound for nowhere, I met up with a gambler. We were both too tired to sleep, so we took turns of staring out the window at the darkness till boredom overtook us, and he began to speak. He said, "Son, I've made a lot out of reading people's faces and knowing what their cards were by the way they held their eyes. So if you don't mind my saying, I can see your outer faces. For a taste of your whiskey, I give you some advice." So I handed him my bottle drank down my last swallow. And then he bummed a cigarette and asked me for a light. And the night got deathly quiet.
Yes, indeed, of course. A pleasant good night to all and sundry. It is, yes, the Saturday edition of the Corridor Transformation. I trust that your carnival fever, the spirit and the, should I say, enthusiasm of the carnival season would have dissipated, would have subsided, and now it's back to serious matters. Of course, the first port of call is, of course, the Lenten period and the fact that we are now, of course, in a very, what I consider to be holy period for the Christians, of course, and for the non-Christians, of course, who would also celebrate, but in a different way, nonetheless, in the recognition that Easter is upon us. And then, of course, the favorite of all for me is the Shouter Baptist holiday, of course, in the following month, which, of course, is next month, March. So we have quite a lot of activities to go around. But what is most important is that the reality that Trinidad and Tobago is, we must, of course, come to grips with. And in that regard, we have to, of course, to not only look at our economic prospects, not only, of course, the critical issue of crime and criminality, and as we saw, of course, the UNC has taken the lead. They have taken, of course, the initiative away from the government. The government seemed to be, of course, at a loss as to how to manage this particular scourge. But that being as it may, we must, of course, persevere. We have a bumper program for you tonight. And, of course, it will be nestled in, of course, in some very personal experiences with, of course, members of this government. But that, of course, will send shivers down and up your spines.
While sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the deal is done.
Said I love you till I die.
Oh yes, the only thing to love until you die, of course, is your country and your fellow men, and those who would have been responsible for shaping your character and personality. Of course, there are those who give lip service to the values and the what I consider to be the morals and the ethics and the question of right and wrong, and don't hang your hat where it can't reach or you cannot reach. All of those fundamental principles, particularly among persons who would have gotten the opportunity to lead, but to take it and, of course, establish what I consider to be a commercial criminal enterprise, is most despicable, most reprehensible, and, of course, defies all logic and common sense. But, of course, we know what greed can do. What greed can do, and it's only greed, could allow someone who, in the office of Prime Minister, in the office of Ministers of Government, and, of course, what is considered to be the chicken or the kitchen cabinet. I almost said chicken cabinet because this bunch of individuals are really engaged in trickery. So I almost said chicken, but it's of course kitchen cabinet. Those persons who have been given, of course, the opportunity by way of state enterprises to be chairman, to be, of course, members of the board of directors, of the various large plethora of state enterprises, whether it be Unicut, whether it be, of course, the East Port of Spain Development Company, whether it be, of course, even those that were dismissed, like Caroni Green or the Chagaramas Development Corporation or NIDCO, and of course the Small Business Development Company. These are the type of institutions I'm talking about that have been populated by persons who have been identified by the present administration to manage the affairs, specific, of course, to the core operations of these institutions. I want to say as well that is not exclusive to the PNM. Every single government that came, whether it be the NR, whether it be, of course, the UNC, whether it be in its different, what I consider to be machinations, must, of course, find individuals, find expertise, find usually within the ranks of the party. But if, of course, the party doesn't have those qualities that are required for the fulfillment and the efficacious administration of the various entities that are the consequence of political appointments. Let me repeat, the consequence of political appointments. And once, of course, that is fulfilled, the rest is, of course, delivery to the people. Delivery to the people, whether they voted for you or not. What we have is a situation where Rowley and they have captured government in such a way that they are very eclectic. They select, of course, not only the political appointments, but those who are to be served by the institutions that are supposed outside of an election, outside of any partisan politics, must deliver to the people. And in such circumstance, you then, of course, manage the affairs of the country, and the country is better for it because of that level of objectivity of delivery. But what we have, and I am saying so because of personal experiences, I want to tell you, fellas, like, let's go straight, of course, to the line, but fellas like Imbert, fellas like people, of course, let's go to the lines, and then, of course, we will come back at it. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Pleasant good night, Mr. Lennox. How are you going?
I'm all right, and fighting up. I had a tough day again today. We were moving, of course, to our new facility on George Street, but I'm here.
Mr. Lennox, I want to just tell you something.
Go ahead.
You know, we have a burning issue where we have more questions than answers in Tobago.
Yes.
The bloggers and how they call them throw out pay increase for the PM. That is to throw our minds off of the burning issues that we want answers for. So they're trying to throw out something so the public could jump on. Well, the PNM education is just to believe what the PNM put out, and everybody else information is wrong. So they throw out something which is the pay hike for the Prime Minister, for we to come off the burning issues that are taking place. That one. Two, why they putting up more cameras all over the place when the bandit is in Parliament? Meaning to say the bandit is in government. Correctly said, the bandit is in government. We want cameras to see them, because them destroying the place and robbing we blind without a gun. You have a blessed night, Mr. Locke.
It's a deal, my friend, and I want to tell you off the cuff, for the first part of your presentation tonight, go to the top of the class. Go to the top of the class because you understand it well, that issue in Tobago, clearly nothing should obfuscate, nothing should poison, nothing should infiltrate, nothing should deflect attention away from it, because it is clearly, from what is emerging, the potential and real possibility of the collapse of this administration, the PNM, and once and for all, even the sycophants and they must understand that it's a corrupt bunch of opportunistic political parasites whose personal and, of course, intent is to, of course, raid the treasury of the country and more devastatingly is recklessly and brutally use the country, its resources, and their own status within the country to engage in activities that will line their pockets under the principle of greed, if there is such a principle of greed, and of course avarice and money mongering. That is what is emerging from this scenario, and the Lord moves in mysterious ways, his wonders to perform. You see, it reminds me of when Greenvale, a settlement constructed under the PNM, when Rowley was the Minister of Housing, and his friend Rahal, the former mayor of Port of Spain, owned the land, bought the land as agricultural lands. But it was, of course, a reserve as well, because there is something called a river reserve, where, of course, the floodplain, leaving, of course, in case the river overflows, that floodplain could absorb the water, absorb the excess water along the particular river, Caroni River, and any other major river that traverses Trinidad and Tobago. And what transpired? That agricultural land was purchased by Rowley as the Minister of Housing at the time under the Manning administration as residential land. You ever say? As residential land. So these schemers and these rapscallions and these crooked individuals have been engaging in the use of the opportunity of the office that they hold, and then they have the gall, the temerity, the effrontery, the bold-facedness to say that they convince themselves that they're not interfering with it. It is similar to when, of course, the Tobago House of Assembly under the PNM, when they would have had unspent balances and deposited in the bank, unspent balances, meaning that the budget that they were given, they spent so little of it that they had a remainder by the end of the fiscal year. And what they do, instead of sending it back to the treasury in the case of Tobago, and Rowley said that is the model that he wants to implement incidentally as in local government, hogwash and superficial, superfluous a talk that to only incite the non-esoteric and those who are simply non-analytical. So they send back the unspent balance into the bank. Over a period of time, it attracts interest because the bank uses the money to make more money for itself and gives, of course, to that particular amount, that unspent balance, a certain amount of interest. And then suddenly, in the case of the Tobago House of Assembly under the PNM, the interest suddenly disappears. In other words, they take the interest and shake themselves and convince themselves that they did wrong. Yeah, what I say they take the unspent balance, deposit it in the bank. The bank, it accrues interest. The bank give it interest. So if you put $10 at the end of the period, it may be $15. So it has grown from that $10. They take $5 and they leave, of course, the capital there, the principal there, and then say that they ain't thief. That is the level of that we have in government, the level of greed and hustlers. I want to tell you people, those of you who are of the view that they put in $10 and the $10 was there, because you see, recently, Imsbert told us something of that nature, and I want, of course, to disabuse whatever money that would have accrued, whatever interest that was paid on that money. It's our money. It's not their money. They cannot now say in a fit of madness and intellectual dishonesty and, of course, pragmatic and material greed to tell us that somehow we were not harmed because the $5 wasn't ours. But if it wasn't ours, how come it is theirs? If the $10 did not bring that $5, the $10 being, of course, your and my money, the taxpayers' money, where did they put money? Where and how they got the money to gain that $5 that had accumulated as a consequence of sending back to the bank the unspent balance. And mind you, I want to tell Tobagonians in this particular case, that is a scheme to shortchange you. So when they could have spent the money on infrastructural matters, when they could have added more URP, for example, and maybe in order, of course, to put food on the table of the poor and the downtrodden in Tobago, they deliberately create a scheme for monies allocated from the treasury or from the consolidated fund, from which, of course, the money that government spends comes from that particular fund, and the money that they accumulate by taxes and other services that they would have provided at a cost to the public goes into that consolidated fund. And so they cannot claim, don't let them fool you to make you believe that somehow that is not your money and my money, and that the typical taxpayer or civilian or resident or citizen must not be concerned. That is their logic. And they get fat and rich. They get fat and rich by that level of chuconry. I almost said again, chickenry. But they are so schemish that they will want to tell you, you see a big grown chicken and tell you it's a chick. That is Rowley and they. So they have been engaged. So let me get back, of course, to Greenvale. Rowley, as Minister of Housing, and Rahel purchased the land as a private person. And somehow, these things always occur. They get, of course, the opportunity to sell it to government. And they buy the government then buy under HGC at residential price and build Greenvale. And Greenvale, typical, I shouldn't say typical, but unique to every other housing development in this country. First time we saw where that place was so inundated, the river overflowed its bank. And people were marooned on top of their roofs, on top of their houses. And so all of their life savings, all of their life material possession was lost, was destroyed. Understand that. It never happened before. But that was, of course, another sign, quite apart from sandals and the other shenanigans that Rowley have used office, and quite apart as well from landate, and this kind of decree, and this kind of conman job, and this kind of bubble that has surrounded Rowley as a minister and as a member in government of the PNM. And now we see as Prime Minister is bubble galore. Bubble galore to the point where every single minister, including Rowley, before you call the name, you have to say Bubble Rowley. above all, Amy Bung, above all, Fitzgerald Hines, above all, Donna Cox, above all, Sinanan, above all, Imsbert, above all, all of them. They live for that and they suddenly get rich and then they believe that they could go out in the sunlight, or should I say the twilight, or whichever light, it doesn't matter. What we know for sure, this time around, because there are people who, of course, monitor, or who evaluates, or who microscopically watch these people as they pretended that they are holier than thou, as they believe that somehow they have been given the devilish right to manage the affairs of Trinidad and Tobago. And they continue, of course, to not only flounder, they continue not only to disappoint, they continue not only to generate incompetence and impotence, but also evil of a unlimited nature. Let's go straight to the lines. We seem to be a pleasant good night. We seem to be a little more consistent and speedy as far as the lines are concerned. So that is a good sign. A pleasant good night. Welcome. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Good night, my honorable. How are you doing?
I'm all right. In the circumstance. Hard work.
My honorable, I feel we reach now.
Yeah,
we reach.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if Dum could be getting 80,000 a month, and the Dum and them with the police, the Coast Guard, all the Dum and them outside, they get 4%, and he get over 40%. Well, boy, I'm glad for them. Serious, I'm telling you. These stupidity and them. That's why these police have to get it right now. When you call the station, yeah. Well, if you have a car, come and make the report, man. You understand?
Yes.
This stupidity, and look what happened now. He not here, and he still get 80,000. So how much the president go get now? How much the president go get? That is he and the president? Right? So I don't know. Watch me, my brother. The world we live in now is not the same world we was in before. So here what's going on. We have to do something about that. And if the Dum and them in Trinidad and Tobago seeing what's going on, well then, brother, I'm sorry. The righteous people are going to suffer.
I hear you. That's a contribution. Yes. But I want to tell him that no part of the world and history is testimony. Evil could never prevail over good. That is your resolute extrication from this, not just dilemma, but this evil, wicked and nasty enterprise, a criminal enterprise called the PNM, led by a ruthless, brutal, insincere, dishonest, and wicked leader called Rowley. No way. Look at every single country in the world that has a brutal epoch in their history by a dictator. And I agree with Gary Griffith when he said Rowley is a democratic dictator. He interferes with every single institutions most of you know of And that is an irrefutable fact. Their trolls and their apologists and their spokespersons could talk from now until the devil resurfaces physically again. The fact of the matter is that they have disappointed and they have done us evil, and we must, as righteous and decent and moralistic and of course honest citizens, respond appropriately. So I was making the point, and the scheme relating of course to Greenvale, and that is just a microcosm of the multiple that we have seen, whether it be Al-Rari and his family getting government contract for their buildings, whether it be one Alexandra or number 3 Alexandra that came whilst Rowley was prime minister or when he became prime minister, all of that. But let's go straight, of course, to the lines. Pleasant good night, welcome.
Hello, good night. Good night, Mr. Smith.
Good night to you.
Yes, yes, how are you doing? It appears to me that the mission of this government is to thief as much as they could through taxes, corruption, whatever. And if you look on, in the meantime, the country gets running into the ground. Infrastructure, for whoever will be rescued in the next office. Maybe, I don't know, that had to be their strategy. Because everything left to run into the ground. So, you have a good night.
Thank you very much for that intervention. But I want to tell you, they are a group of individuals who want to have the cake and eat it. You know what I say? I say the PNM under Rowley is a group of individuals who want to have the cake and eat it. What do I mean? No, they want to win the elections. Why you think they have postponed or have reneged on the contractual arrangement with respect, of course, to the land that was supposed to be identified as part of a solar energy park or a solar energy initiative with using St. Madeleine lands as well as that in, of course, Golden Grove. Why you think? At the start, instead to remove the earth there, to put down houses, to house pad. You think that is a government that is not concerned with staying in power? Why you think they want to do that? Why you think they want, of course, to thief the next election as well? Why? Because they know that once they're out of office, the inevitable, imperative, the sine qua non, the prerequisite for any government taking over from this brutal, evil set of individuals is that they must be investigated, and they have stolen so blatantly, so cruelly, so conspicuously that they must make a jail. Must. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Lennox.
Good night to you.
Lennox, you see, Michael understand George and Roger and them.
Yeah.
Them have another problem right now, you know. You think when money really gonna get 40%, 80 going to it every month, and I'm settled for 4%. People be beating you, they're looking at drag, man, they cannot roll all over the place. People suffer, out the cost of living going up, electricity going up. We fed up with this evil, let's not line up. We gotta get rid of this evil, wicked PR and government, you know.
That's right.
Well, I know Monday we have any match, yeah?
No. It is the 18th of next month, so that is March. So we'll march in March.
March.
Yeah, in March. Yes, in March, not February. I would love them to join.
All right.
In earlier rather than later, but
Lennox gonna get straight outside of this road, boy.
that's right. That's right, my friend.
Right. Well, I look
Thank you,
to
Len.
listen.
Yes,
Get
yes,
ready.
indeed. Yes, thank you very much, of course, for your contribution. Yes, a maroon bunch of opportunistic political parasites, and they don't want to win the next elections, and they continue to because they believe that there is no consequences, and that the people of Trinidad and Tobago are so damn stupid that they will be engaged. The PNM, that is, engaged in this Machiavellian politics, where, of course, they thief and dispossess, and, of course, put people under pain, ache, agony, and stress and strain, and increase, of course, in the cost of living and quality of life, and decrease in the quality of life. And then, of course, at the end of the day, they believe they can, of course, send some pixie dust in the form of addition that are strategically located, so that, of course, it brings optimum visuality, and therefore belief that somehow with that kind of hoodwinking and that kind of camouflagery and that kind of deception, that, of course, the people will become complacent once again, and that they will forgive them and then go to vote. I say to you, only a fool does the same thing over and over and expects a different result. Let's go straight to the line. A pleasant good night. Welcome to our external correspondence. Good night.
Lennox, good night to you and to everybody on the chat. Lennox, I hope that you are hearing me good.
Loud and clear, loud and clear. Tonight is a beautiful night.
But the internet is behaving really bad.
On your side, all right, okay.
The internet behaving like Rowley tonight. So how much of my conversation you can hear?
Right.
Lennox, no. I think that vaccine that was given to the people for COVID, you know, Lennox, it was to make them to immunize them against the shit that's going on in this country. You want to tell me, Lennox, pension received not even 1.1% increase in their pensions, right? Even with disability, nobody got anything. But the Salaries Review Commission giving Rowley to increase. If that is not enough for the people to get fed up and come out, I don't know what is. Are they waiting on color? That not making them fed up, Lennox? Hit the streets to even talk out. Oh, good God, man. What's going on? You coming now and taxing our money again after we build our homes. And you sitting comfortable in a gut-rotten lunatic self to get a 35% increase? What it is really going on in this place? But I feel impact that to take away, to distract from the oil. And I sent you a posting by Kevin Ramnarine, what it is he said.
Okay.
Something, this country could never be right, Lennox. People then in this country, and you could tell us, you at the salary reviews, this man at I tell you, we're really immune to bullshit in this country. It's only when the PNM are in office, they're immune. Anybody else there? Every Monday morning is a protest. Every Monday morning. What is wrong with the people? Well, if this is not enough to move them and shake them, I don't know what is. Let them continue to sit down and take all what Rowley doing to them. And if Rowley feel that we believe the crap that he's talking about, going Guyana and now they want Guyana to pay for the bill, I wanted if Rowley feel that the president of Guyana is a shove over. He feel what he's been telling Kamala and getting away with, tell him and get life will deal with him. And you run up now, sense structure. But we are not stupid. We are not. Lennox, I don't know what's going on in this country, but this thing had me real mad when I heard what it is that report that Imber played in Parliament on Friday concerning that salary increase. Rowley has done nothing for this country to deserve a salary increase. Not even 1%. As a matter of fact, they should cut his blasted salary because all the man doing is lying and traveling. I didn't know that that was the main part of his job. But let them go ahead. They don't to study all right. Camera this, camera the other. And don't study what Rowley doing to them. And Kamala must go. Bring back Kayla. What do you Kayla? Oh, what your name is? Look, I'm so vexed at that, like that, Lennox.
I could well imagine.
You want to tell me nobody got an increase in 9 years, and you come at 35? What? All the lovely populace of the country? Look, let me first start a course here tonight.
I hear
Good
you.
night. And thanks for listening to me 2 cents.
Yes, I hear you. I hear you. And I want to publicly thank Miss Santa Cruz in the job that she has been doing, both here and on the ground report, I must say. Because what has really happened and why I believe I should pause to recognize her contribution is largely because those of us who are presenters, whether it be Andy, Mikey, myself, of course, Alan Roberts and Victor Roberts and others, who of course have been sharing the light in the darkness that Rowley and they have descended Trinidad and Tobago, is the fact that she has been able to identify, she has been specializing in identifying those trolls and those sycophants who, of course, will either attempt to deflect attention or disrupt the programs of these various entities that, by and large, are engaged, like myself, on a voluntary basis, utilizing our own resources to get here, in my case, almost every night, to address the pertinent issues, so much so that every day is a different issue. That is the sum total and the numerous nature and the almost unfathomable number of issues that are required to be ventilated and for which the population must not only be aware, but be aware in such a way that when they go to the polls, ultimately to be the ultimate arbiter, to be the ultimate decider of whether or not a government should be in office, or put another way, a party should be in office or not, they must have the information that is unquestionable, the veracity of which it must not be questioned, the seriousness, the reality, the truth of it must not be questioned. That is why we, as true patriots, and I want to tell you that it's the first time in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, and maybe the history of humankind, that social media has become, of course, the means whereby people can get, at minimum, the other side of the story, and at maximum, the truth of the story. The truth of the stories that are being peddled there by officialdom who have captured and have clandestinely and, of course, cryptically decided to, of course, abuse their office and misinform and disseminate, of course, lies that, of course, confuses the population that has to, of course, adjudicate at some point in time, whether at the local government level or at the national level. That is in 2025. We prefer, of course, in 2024, but let him take as much elasticity as possible. The more elastic he becomes in terms of the corruption, the nepotism, the cronyism, and the mismanagement, and the greed, and the lining of their pockets, and of course the support for the 1% at the expense of the poor, the downtrodden, and those citizens who are yet to born, but our children and our children's children. I say to you, the information is here. And they cannot, of course, in any way brush off. So I make the point that the Salaries Review Commission statement is deliberate. It is intended to deflect from, of course, that fiasco, that disaster that is now threatening the environment of Tobago, but that of Trinidad and Tobago in terms of whether or not we are a real place. Understand that? They want the population to deflect and focus on salaries increases. Let me tell you something, what's going to happen. That's much ado about nothing. Rowley and they will come out now and play victim. And play, of course, they are salubriously treating with the circumstances of the country and the interests of the country, and say they're not going to take it. They're not going to take the increase. Watch and see. The recommended increase. Watch and see. Because Rowley will come and say that it is a recommendation. It was not cast in stone, but the objective would have been achieved when, of course, we were lured into, of course, and deflecting away from, of course, the spill oil and all of the involvement and all of the finger pointing and all of the direction in which it is taking us, and that is to say a group of individuals who believe that in government they can, of course, do away with the 12 daymen vessels for a long period, and then engage, of course, in utilizing our waters to, of course, illicitly transport crude oil and other contraband outside of the gaze of the responsibility of the Coast Guard or the police. That is where it is heading. So do not be lured by that a deflective, what I consider to be fly in the ointment. Fly in the ointment is a term that simply means you're taking something to solve a medical issue, but a fly getting into it means that you are subjected, of course, to extreme danger, if not, of course, the quickening of your demise. So don't be bothered with that fly in the ointment. The ointment is that Rowley and they must explain that oil spill, and they have not done so. How come a boatload of lumber and aggregate turned out to be an oil spill of historical proportion? Historical proportion. And why it is that the 360 degrees radar system, as boasted by since Manning was in office, was not functioning and could not have detected that situation long before it would have become the disaster that it is. How come they didn't know it was not tanker, but of course an expensive and huge raft, really, that a tugboat, so it could not, of course, propel itself. Is a tugboat it was connected to. And Rowley, of course, said that some cable was severed and suggested that it was being pulled, but was telling us it was a boat. It was a tanker. And that is, of course, it was really a raft. filled with oil, crude oil. And as a geologist, I find it difficult since he was on the scene, since he went across there 5 days after the event. And as a geologist, he must, of course, learn about, of course, different rocks, whether it be igneous rocks, whether it be sedimentary rocks, or whether it be rocks that are in between. But the fact is, and where, of course, oil deposits could be held within, of course, the crust of the earth. How come he couldn't detect one time that it was crude oil? No, playing games and hoping that the argument about, of course, wood or lumber and aggregate would, of course, be taken by the public. But no. So having lost that argument and having been seen as an environmentalist, or should I say a destroyer of the environment, they decide, of course, to come up with this this deflection, call, of course, increase in salaries for senior officials in this country, including Rowley. No, don't take that bait. Don't take that bait. We must focus on the oil, and he must tell us why in such a internationally sensitive and attention-grabbing circumstance of Trinidad and Tobago for the wrong reason. You know, he loves to talk about Trinidad and Tobago being the attraction for the wrong reason. Well, the wrong reason is here and was here, but instead he wants to go on a holiday. He wants to go on a holiday in such circumstance, and that has demonstrated culpability as far as I'm concerned. When you watch at how he operates, he becomes silent when something threatens, of course, the viability of his government. We saw it, of course, in the case of the Vincent Nelson matter, in the case of the Brent Thomas kidnapping matter, and indeed the one with respect, of course, to pulling back the shortlist as far as the Police Service Commission is concerned. We saw all of that, and we have witnessed all of that. So Rowley gonna go silent, and then, of course, the next, of course, opportunity, he's going to focus only on the fact that the government has decided not to take or not to increase the salary and fool you, so he thinks. But we know what is going to happen, so we can predict that they will not accept that. They will not beat their chest that they are concerned about the economy, and they are concerned about, of course, bread and butter issue among the poor, making certain that they have money available for school children to get lunches and so on and so forth. And we can predict that. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. It's a decidedly and characteristically typical individuals who are engaged in high office, in criminal behavior, and they live, of course, to hoodwink and to deceive and to line their pockets and with friends and family and who they prefer and rather. You think if they could have bribed me, they wouldn't have? Well, I want to tell you, it is not because of the want of trying. They have tried through different agencies. Even when, of course, the UNC came into office for the first time in 1995. Yes. A group of them, African millionaires in the insurance and consultancy area, PNM feed them well. And they come to tell me, first time I know how much people connected to the PNM are millionaires, Africans, and telling me up in Mova, in my office in Mova at the time, under the MLIO, telling me, don't let them fool you and use you. And when the PNM got back into office on the next occasion, after, of course, Robinson took his personal hatred for Pandey and the animosity and risk the whole nation and put us back in the hands of a group of individuals in a party that clearly is a criminal enterprise and exists only to, of course, steal, avarice, and con, and in the process, incompetent and impotent. Yes, they come and told me that. And Robinson gave them back. And thus, of course, the beginning of the wars of Trinidad and Tobago. And of course, it came again in 2015 when Rowley metamorphosized himself into a decent anti-corruption, what I consider to be a creature. His metamorphosis, his change of character and personality was well camouflaged with the indulgence and the support of the traditional media, Express, Guardian, TTT, etc. Fool them, fool the people. And so today, he has divested all of that, as we have demonstrated here, and he has shown his true. He has mutated into the devil that he always was. But we saw when he was being interviewed by that Caribbean journalist, how he was pious, how he was calm, how he was passionate. And the Rottweiler that Manning spoke about was not exhibited. And he told them, please don't treat me like Barabbas, suggesting that somehow he's a Jesus. Well, I can tell you, if Jesus was like Rowley, then we couldn't have a salvation nor a earth to reside upon as human beings. He went as far as that to show how immaculate he is, how truthful he is. When and before, of course, 2015, when he was finished with destroying Manning in his own party, he then turned, of course, to the national psyche. And those who were vulnerable, those who were willing to give this bald-headed, ugly son of a gun, a man who has a natural bald head and want to make it look artificial, comes to us. And then, of course, why is in that period, he invented, of course, emails. Yes, he invented the tragedy that he said it was of Section 34. He invented and created the exacerbation and exaggeration of the Rishmi affair, a matter that was easily remedied by simply not giving her the job. But Rowley will continue, of course, to make it look as though it's some kind of corrupt act. And today continues, of course, to refer to the UNC as corrupt only because he wants to keep a waning group of individuals who will not, of course, face reality and will not see Rowley for the devil that he is. And still, of course, will make comments. But I know, as you know, evil could never prevail. And those who are supporters of this tragedy, of this evil, of this diabolical and Luciferian deposit on Trinidad and Tobago today, you too will have to pay for what you have conspicuously delivered on Trinidad and Tobago and our future generations. No doubt, no doubt. But I want, as I said, to take this thing personal. And they could come with any kind of lawsuit they want now. Let me start with a demand at the helm of AGC in Trinidad and Tobago and in the PNM. I'm talking about, of course, Garcia. Garcia, I say to you, just as Rowley is a blasted pedophile and rapist, Noel Garcia is a pathologically corrupt individual. Let me say it again. Noel Garcia is a pathological corrupt individual. And I ain't talking vike irresponsibly or ad hominem. No. I always believe that experience is your best teacher. And from experience I am talking. You see, in the 2007 general elections leading up to that, and during that, which of course the PNM won because of the split between COP and of course Pandey at the time. So let's not waste time. So that is history. We know they won the election, but that is not the important thing. In that particular exercise, Lennox Smith, was the candidate for the UNCA. Remember that? Go back to your history. These sophologists will remind you what transpired then. But I will tell you that while, of course, making the rounds and campaigning, being the candidate for the UNCA, with my own party, because we had several parties coming together called the UNCA, in other words, the UNC Alliance. My party was called, of course, officially Love Laventille Outreach for Vertical Enrichment. That's what love means. If today you go around Laventille and you look at the lampposts and, of course, on different fences, you will still see today painted love. Well, that was as a consequence of that 2007 elections where we went to every nook and cranny and we painted love. We are going to, of course, talk from a different perspective as to what went wrong in terms of not making the kind of dent that we wanted to make at that time. It being, of course, my party being, of course, and still is a regional party, meaning that it is dedicated to only the Laventilles, Laventille East, Laventille West, and the Port of Spain South. So that is not important. What is important is my experience with respect to Noel Garcia, that blasted thief, corrupt to the core. And I'll tell you, a couple of young people came to me during the course of that election, one of which had a company, registered company with the registrar of companies, a legitimate company. And they said, Mr. Smith, we have a company and we have been trying to get a contract for the longest while. You know I say they told me that they were trying to get a contract for the longest while. The company by then might have been maybe about 5 or 6 years old. But not a contract for them, no matter where they went, including, of course, HDC, where Noel Garcia was the chief executive officer or the general manager, whatever accolade, I shouldn't say accolade, but whatever appellation that they gave him, appellation, whatever name they gave him. And I told them, all I really want a contract. You will understand why I am going to George Street now. That will tell you, that will give you a precursor, that will give you a pre-assessment, that will give you a understanding as to who Lennox Smith is, one, and two, what he's prepared to do in order, of course, to generate the social and economic justice, and of course, the equity in the distribution of our resources that have been, of course, stymied and, of course, concentrated in the hands of an elite group of individuals led by Rowley, called a 1%. And why it is that there's so many people that couldn't eat 3 meals today. I tell you, well, Noel Garcia was head of the agency at the time, and I told them, come, all they really want a contract, let me tell you how to get it. Let's go to the lines. Professor, good night. Welcome to the corridor.
Hello,
Welcome to
good
the
night,
corridor.
Lennox. Are you
Good night
hearing
to
me
you.
clearly?
Loud and clear, loud and clear, loud and clear, loud and clear. Yes, loud and clear.
Okay. Well, I listened to you a while ago how you're talking about this situation we're in. Try and don't let your blood pressure raise. These things going on a long time now. I know that long time. I tell you, when I used to see them things so Lennox, I tell you, I just had to take a little drink or two to calm my nerves. This thing real annoying. And the thing is, with this whole thing, we mightn't get any compensation because of this thing where they're registering these vessels in foreign countries, right? I can't explain it. It's a long story, but Mr. Aboud, Gary Aboud, spoke about it in an interview that he had with a Tobago journalist reporter. It's called Flags of Convenience, right? And these Tobagonians, they cool as ever. I feel they love Rowley. Next election, they might vote for Rowley. They just want the PNM and the THA. I don't trust them, right? And we here in Trinidad fussing up ourselves. They're my business, you know. Some of them, I listening to them in different interviews, they're saying that they contain and everything. Next minute you hear it going down Grenada, it reaching all Venezuela, which will be Margarita Island because that island close to Grenada. So don't fuss yourself, Lennox. You hear? I tell you all kind of thing when you hear me saying that coming in, that is what it is going on. So you focus on your thing, right? Go back to your subject and you focus on your thing. See how you could get through. Don't study them people. Let them fight for themselves. They don't stand up for nothing. Have a good night, Lennox.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I always respect, of course, the contributions of Miss Arima, who just gave her assessment of the situation. But I want to tell her two things. One, that this is typical Lennox Smith. And you will see it today, you'll see it tomorrow, you'll see it every day. On the ground report, I conduct myself deliberately, sedatively, without, of course, all of the gesticulation and all of the animations that you can see, of course, on a live on Facebook or YouTube as you are right now. So that's the first thing. So I'm not going to stop, and it may appear, of course, to be emotional, but that is how I would operate and speak publicly, because I want people to understand categorically, lucidly, and of course with the greatest degree of sincerity, and that you use words to emphasize, to give emphasis. That not only are you sincere,
Without, of course,
but you know what you're talking about. Professor, good night. Welcome. I'll finish that after this.
Good night, Lennox.
Good night to you.
How you going, boy?
Well, of course, as good could be in this circumstance. I'm moving to George Street.
Well, all right. Well, you know, fret over back to murdering. I see the murderers pick up again. They pick up the guns and ammunition and start killing people by KFC and shooting people again.
Yes,
So
and I see
party
a fella
done.
from
Back
Sealats
to
was
work.
found in the ceiling of KFC in Siparia from Sealats, and we told them that. We told them that's what's going to happen. But they want to move the people from East Port of Spain and so on. Let them make that disastrous decision. Anyhow, the PNM will not be there to, of course, superintend such a tragedy. But go ahead, my friend.
When I see the Salary Reviews Commission want to give the government officials, the parliamentarians, a 33% increase in the pay.
Yes.
And if this government could go out of the thought and go and take that, everybody got turn the fist like Solomon on them. Because they're too wicked, especially the Prime Minister and company. Want to give people that 4%,
In
and
my
you
view,
get
they're
a
not
big
going to do it.
33% increase
They're not
too,
gonna.
for doing nothing.
No, it is so politically
Well, I think
detrimental. They're not going to do it.
well the opposition take front already. They say they ain't taking no increase because of the situation we're going on in the country.
Yes.
So the egg is on Dr. Rowley's face now. Whether or not he and the group of what should I say miscreants go take the raise. And knowing them always hungry. They go want their raise, because they doing nothing and want to collect everything. But I see you now, Lennox, that the CSO, just like the EBC in the government pocket.
Yeah, no doubt.
Here
Inflation,
is the statistic,
unemployment.
Lennox. Here is
Go ahead.
here is the statistic that come out yesterday. Here,
Yeah.
they're saying right that the unemployment rate was over 5% and it go down to 3 point something percent,
Yes,
right?
I read it.
Within a year.
Yes.
And if they say furthermore, right, only 101 person get retrenched in 2023, and the year before was 500 and something. I want to leave them living in a vacuum, because it seems to me that is in good gain them figures, because them is not an independent board to carry out any survey or nothing. How the heck they come to those conclusions? The unemployment rate gone up to 3%, and only 101 person get retrenched for the whole of 2023. What them that be? I want to tell them in the EBC in the government hands. You understand? That is a gerrymandering organization. I wouldn't buy no statistics coming out from that CSO. Them is a waste. So add them next to the EBC
Oh yes.
for political interference. Have a good day, Lennox.
Same to you. But of course, before I go back to the essence of my statement and the conclusion, as far as Noel Garcia is concerned, a corrupt individual, just as Rowley being, of course, not only corrupt, but being, of course, a rapist and a pedophile. I say so without fear of contradiction. And of course, I know that these fellas, when you tell them the truth, they just get stupefied, and then of course get mad and take people to court. Well, of course, I'm waiting to go to court. Not like Rowley waiting to go to jail. No, I'm waiting to go to court. You know that, Garcia. But we'll conclude that in a while. Let me, of course, address the concern of the last caller. You are quite right. But I want to tell you this, that the Central Statistical Office, let us give Jack his jacket, is designed, of course, to recruit, of course, persons that are versed in statistical matters and the gathering of data and so on. So I want to tell you that one time. And I want to tell you as well that they will not, of course, go and check every name or every person that is unemployed. What they will do is, of course, select certain institutions and then, of course, make a conclusion based on that. So in terms of their functionality, that is their function. And of course, if a person from abroad, for example, wants to invest in Trinidad, they will, of course, find out where the Central Statistical Office is to get statistical information on the country. So they have a vital function. Let's not waste time. And they are the ones to, of course, be the authority for providing that. But that being as it may, we in Trinidad and Tobago must understand the methodology that is used For example, for the tabulation or the arriving at unemployment, for example. In tabulating or in examining or gathering the raw material, the methodology is one that says that if a person is not looking for work, let me repeat, if a person is not looking for work, they will not be captured in the statistical data that will emerge, the final count, the final information. No. But your common sense and my common sense will tell me that if a person is not looking for work, they should be counted as unemployed, obviously. But that is not so. So what they do, they count only those who are looking for work, who say they're looking for work, and those who are actually in work. Understand that? So those who are not looking for work are left out of the data. So my conclusion is, having regard, of course, to the multiple and the manifold and the numerous persons who are out of work. And mind you, you just have to go on the streets of Port of Spain or any other street that has a throughput of nationals and ask them if they are unemployed. And you'll hear them saying, if you interview 10 persons, almost 8 of them will say that they are unemployed. So that is a microcosm of what is in the society in real. So you must know, therefore, in such a circumstance and understanding the methodology that is used, that a tremendous amount of persons clearly to come up with a 3% and a 5% unemployment. A tremendous amount of persons have given up looking for work. And I had an experience today. My wife was in my car, parked, of course, of all streets, but all area, Branlara. We went to get a fast food meal before I could come here because, of course, we just came from George Street a whole morning, to and fro in terms of providing instructions as well as providing, taking desks and chairs and all the other things that are required for the office, for its operations. But anyhow, why speaking there? Why parked there? She is in, of course, the seat next to the driver's seat. And a friend saw her, or she saw the friend and called the friend, and they began talking. And guess what? That person said, only today, I tell you before I came here, that friend said, you see, and I didn't raise the topic about unemployment. It's the caller. So you can't accuse me of having an agenda. But because you raised it, I can tell you now that only today, and that is accidental. That is maybe 1 in a million. Such a situation could pop up where you park on a particular street, and somebody who happened to know you will come to you, and then that person told my wife, listen, I have not been working, even though I've been looking for work for the past year. For the past year? You know what I say? I said a whole year, no work. So it reinforces my point that final figure that serves the PNM and this administration in their favor is bogus. It's bogus. So you must not give them any kudos or any credit because they have not shown us where they can create any employment, but yet still the Central Statistical Office could tell us that unemployment moved from 5% to 3%. Quite apart from the political shenanigans or the political reference or attempting, of course, to make salubrious a wicked and dangerous regime. We know we can't eat. I started the program by saying that if a person Put another way, a huge amount of persons could not have had 3 meals today. That is where we are at. So I want to tell you that a tremendous amount of persons stop looking for work because there's no work. There's no work. And unfortunately, let me give you the other side of this most bizarre statistical framework is that people like who working in CPEP and URP and so on are considered employed people. You can't want to be more temporary than that because they work cyclically. One group this week or this fortnight, another next fortnight, and it could be 1,000 people being circulated that way. You know there's 1,000 to add to the labor force. And cannot, of course, provide for their families in that kind of scenario where, of course, you are literally playing Russian roulette, helter-skelter, higgledy-piggledy scenario. 1,000 of them being cycled fortnight, this fortnight, then next fortnight, next group, and 1,000 of them. And that is captured as employment. I say to the caller, well done. Your concerns is valid. And one can conclude that they are, of course, a minion of the PNM because it only serves the PNM when such a skewed statistic is brought into the public. Rowley and that is fodder for them. That is gasoline. That is, of course, wind in their sail. But we are more realistic, and therefore we will tell you what is behind it so that you will have an appreciation that it is bogus, false, and a figment. A figment. That's what it is. A figment. Based on statistical bogusness and statistical shenanigans. So let us not waste time with that. So I think I've dismissed that. But let us get back, of course, to Mr. Noel Garcia. So these young men, valid company certificate, registered with the Register of Companies, no work for them. They're from Laventille. No work for them. And obviously, branded as no good. And not just by the PNM, but of course, by the national community. Let's not waste time. A certain section of the community would prefer they put them on an island and light a bomb. Let's not waste time. That's how some people feel. But that is not how Lennox Smith feel, and those of us who are conscious and understand the socio-economic and psycho-cultural dynamics of the place. That's why I'm going heading for George Street, the belly of the beast, so to speak. It's not going to be perfect. Things are not going to be transformed overnight. The attitudinal change will not, of course, manifest itself in quick time, but in the fullness of time, I will give you an idea when, of course, I begin operating in George Street. But let me conclude Noel Garcia. So I told them, about 11 of them came, and we agreed. Let me repeat, we agreed. Having told them, or after I told them, that if all they really want a contract, all they have to do exactly what I ask. So they agreed. And I told them that I and others were instrumental, were intrinsic in stopping Rowley and Garcia and them from bulldozing East Port of Spain. We eventually, under a bogus piece of law that Rowley is still touting today, still touted today to get rid of the people in East Port of Spain and those buildings that they occupy, state buildings that they occupy. The Slum Act. Yes, they use the Slum Act. You will hear Rowley talking about it once, which is, of course, impossible now. He gets back into office, but it's impossible. But we heard him talking about it before already in Diego Martin when he was, of course, launching the most recent community centers, and that in itself is a piece of skullduggery. The focusing on community centers and libraries and so on, obsolete things, things that are non-functional in communities. Communities have outlived these facilities, but why they do it under Unicut? And again, Garcia is at the helm of that as well, under Unicut. Guess why? They want to finish Balize House. I don't talk. They want to finish Balize House. Community centers all over the place. Small pieces of money and so on. But every single piece will contribute to the completion of Balize House. But that's another story. Let me get to those young people who gathered and say that they were discriminated against and they can't get a contract. So the 11 of them came and I said to them, go and insist if you have to use your big mouth and your robust bodies to insist that you get a meeting with Noel Garcia. And you will go and tell him, after we agreed, who should have paid what? Should have paid what? So in essence, it's a sting operation. So we agreed on a story that says that them individually paid me, Lennox Smith, a sum of money to get them a contract with HDC. Let me repeat. We agreed that each one of them, and we identified the amount each one paid, because there's contents, so it's small money, a little 1,000 here, a little 500, we give all of that. But it came up to a certain number. I can't remember the exact amount that we settled that. So that it sounds good, it sounds palatable, it sounds logical. That the fellas could find a little $500, a little $200 and so on to contribute to paying me a bribe, if you want to call that, to get a contract for them in HGC. So we agreed as well. I told them, do exactly what I say. Go to HGC now and tell and insist that you meet with Noel Garcia and make noise if necessary in order to see him. Because Lennox Smith takes some money from them to get a contract. So said, so occurred. It was like taking candies from a baby. It was smooth as smooth could be. And then they ended up, of course, on that occasion in Garcia's office. He decided to see them. And they told him exactly what I told them to say, even though it was total and absolute fiction or a story. But, of course, he took it. And he told them to come back. Because he was, of course, enthused. Why? Because I was leading the resistance to Garcia and Rowley in bulldozing East Port of Spain under the Slum Act. I brought in, of course, Ramesh Miraj to tell him and to tell them, because there's certain process that you had to take place in order for you to not only consider the place as a slum, but if you want, of course, to take away the people's property that they would have been living on for many years, you have to, of course, do it in a particular way and make sure that the property goes back to them. But Rowley and they were prepared not to do that. They were prepared to take the people's property and, of course, not give them anything. And, of course, that by itself, I will tell you what a that campaign is concerned. But let me finish with these young people. So they went to Garcia. Garcia told them, all right, come back. And he appointed date that they went back, Garcia presented them with a contract for nearly $1 million, 900 and something $1,000. Yes, I think it's 9.7 thereabout. Yeah. Give them a contract for nearly $1 million. So let's round it off, $1 million. And the fellas are still alive, you know. Don't get me vexed before I bring them on, you know. And they are prepared, of course, to sign affidavit, Garcia. Open your mouth. Open your blasted mouth, Garcia. You blasted thief. I said, Noel Garcia, you are a blasted thief. Yes. Open your mouth. You is a blasted thief. So the government, and the next time they met with him, gave them a contract for about $1 million. And then they came back up where my office was, and we had a good laugh. We had a good blasted laugh. Palmer, Shabazz, I could call the name. They tell me I could call the name. All of them were there. The others. So those who living around Passy Street and of course the Boulevard and so on and Chumakak will know these guys. Shabazz and Palmer and so on. Leaders in their own right. Yeah. They got a contract for $1 million, people. And you will understand why a rapist like Rowley will have a man like that as his bagman. It's not waste time. It's about time that the underbelly of this satanic group of individuals is revealed. I ain't finished yet. While I do not, and I cannot prove it, so I want to say that one time, and he may want to deny it, but let me call his name one time. Apart from Ganga Singh, former minister, and the fact that he went, of course, to go to the parliament, as he told me at the time, to say that Fitzgerald Hines took a loan. There's going to be $100,000, man, from First Citizen Bank, never paid back. And he took another one from the Agricultural Development Bank and never paid back. But more than that, in his office, Hines, we engage in discussions on why it is that Africans are so far behind. And then, of course, it came down to, of course, the industriousness or the efficaciousness or the non-indolent nature, lazy nature of the Indians, non-indolent nature of the Indians. I know what Hines tell me. He say, between an African and an Indian, he prefer to hire an Indian. The only problem he has is that they will learn so much that they may take over his business, but he prefer an Indian. That son of a gun. That racist son of a bitch. And I say so without fear of contradiction. Because it was he who talked about, of course, the alligator in the lagoon. It was he who talked about, of course, the UNC and the dagger and put on your paint and watch them in the eye. He, right in, of course, Mova Junction, when Rowley was there lapping it up. Yes. It's about time we understand the pieces of devils that has come together as a conspirators group of wicked, evil, diabolical, and pernicious. And of course, the greatest threat to Trinidad and Tobago is those group of individuals that are there, a bunch of criminals. Understand that? So, but more than that, they are exploiters of their own kind. So the first time Heinz and I had an encounter. I invited him to my office in Juman's Drive in Mova, when, of course, as head of MLIO, and he was wondering, that buffoon, he was wondering why it is Lennox Smith, took so long to meet with him. So hear me in my mind. Of course, I did not tell him that, but hear me in my mind. But you had to be a dumbass. You had to be a dumbass. You hearing about Lennox Smith all the time. You leave Laventille for decades. So if you're claiming to be a Laventillian, you are absentee Laventillian. I live in Laventille, I stay in Laventille, I work in Laventille, I dealing with the problems of Laventillians, and you don't know that it's you to come to me? I don't have to come to you? Why? Because you got a free ride on a P&M ticket to where you are, incompetent, as we have seen him in every opportunity that he got to be in office. I ain't finished yet, you know. I ain't finished yet. So here it is. He comes. And of course, now that I'm talking, you can understand why the people in Bitam throw dirty water on him. Because he believes that somehow he's more than what he really is. An ego that is so monolithic, it's so huge, it's so massive, that it can't be contained in the cranium that he has. But it's obvious. We can see that because all of his dreadlocks and them are becoming thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner. Just now, he might be bald like Rowley. Understand that? So, he comes to me and tells me that I should have been seeing him rather than he coming to see me. But of course, since he was by me, it means that he came to see me. That damn fool. I just laugh. Just laugh. Why must I come to see you? You are absentee at minimum. Or should I say at maximum? You are absentee Laventillian. And at minimum, you are nothing. You are dumbass. Anyhow, we had this situation, but he continued, of course, to take talk from P&M people who were there because they don't want, of course, a progressive person like Lennox Smith to partner with him. And he's so stupid. He take basket from them, you know, because in these communities, you have, of course, the politicians who will hate the guts of persons who are progressive, advancing. We saw the recent incarnation of that when, of course, the takeaway got Christopher after school project in Mova, and many others like Burke went that route, like of course Penny, Listra Penny and her street children project, that went that route too. Once they can't control you, once you are fervent. And listen to this. Heinz had the audacity, the temerity, the gall and the effrontery every year, as Bishop Burke and myself and others will look, every 2 years, we'll look at the crime situation in Laventille and environs. And we developed an organization called the Ad Hoc Committee for the Eradication of Crime in Laventille. Let me repeat that, because you see, there are those who believe that we cannot generate the kind of institutions that are necessary in order to respond to the socio-economic and psycho-cultural realities of our community. And I want them to know that they are the asses, not us. We did what we had to do with limited resources. You have all the resources of the state, and the state of Trinidad and Tobago can provide. And before, of course, you look and see those persons who have been doing human service, but because they are not P&M, you want to ignore them. Well, the laugh is on all you, because 8 years after, Rowley have to now call and try to salvage by, of course, saying that he's going to find $100 million to, of course, do what should have been done incrementally since Manning time. Since Manning time. Not just his time, since Manning time. Damn fools. And we, as committed Lavantillians, as committed grassroots, decide that we are going to show them how it is done. And they're so damn stupid. Let them continue, of course, to be narrow-minded. Let them continue, of course, to be vindictive. Let them continue to be PNM-centered. And they don't understand that the entire country is in jeopardy as a consequence. And we told them that. I told Manning that. But that's a different story. Let's get back to Hines. So Hines will go all over the place and say that Lennox Smith is a smart man, Lennox Smith is a thief, this and that, and so on. He tells people that I'm not perturbed. And the reason why I am saying that now is because if he tries to sue me, I will bring equal amount of persons who say that he says that, of course, I'm a thief and therefore I have a right to call him a blasted thief. So even though I am not familiar or have the details about, of course, his larceny or his fraudulent acquisition of the two banks' money, I don't have that. But the fact that he called me a thief, I have a right to be able to call him a thief too. That's the rules. That's the principle. That's natural justice. But let me get down to that part of him. It's just like Rowley. They remain silent, or they try to pretend to be a victim, or they then cowed. But that happened with him and me. After he was saying all of that, a client of him, yes, told him that a girlfriend of mine sold her a car under certain conditions, and she wanted to take back the car. But Hines, she took Hines as her lawyer. And my girlfriend told me about that. It's all right. It's all right. So he began, of course, to talk in a way to, of course, promote that he is superior to everybody else, and therefore the other side will win the case. Well, I want to tell Hines now. You're going to know now. It was I who told Jermaine Raymer. Yes. It's I who told Jermaine Raymer to take your tail before the disciplinary committee of the Law Association. It was I. It was my advice. And he's so stupid. Hines, he's so stupid. When they started the investigations, because the letter was so convincingly, should I say, copious, convincingly potent. And when I created a situation where my girlfriend and I severed, in other words, we became estranged from each other. We went together again. So he sensed that. And that was because I orchestrated Hines. I'm going to tell you for the first time. It's I orchestrated that to make you believe that she and I don't talk and that we are bitter enemies. You know what a man do? You know what a Hines fella do? That Hines, yes, the so-called Minister of National Security, that rapscallion and that indolent, that ass. You know what he did? He called me when he realized that she and I are no longer together. He called me, and like lamb to the slaughter, I had him where I want him. And here he asked me, Smith, so I spoke as though she and I have no connections and that she was disappointing and so on. Words to that effect, so that he will be convinced that and satisfied that we are not in any kind of relationship, but one of animosity. And he took the bait and he called me true to form and hear him. Smith, he gave me the name of some inspector or somebody investigating him in relation, of course, to the matter between his client and, of course, my girlfriend. Yeah, yes. So I talked to him now. Because he doesn't know that. And him. Smith, you know, I am not that kind of person. But they say that I use my political office to secure clients and to, of course, try to win case for clients, etc. And you know I'm not that kind of man. That's what he's telling me, I say, well, you know how it is, and and so on. I say, well, what do you want me to do? He says, Smith, the officer is investigating, and I will ask them to talk with you because you know differently. Yeah, that Heinz. And I laugh. I don't know what happened to the matter afterwards, but I think one thing led to the next. I think the political difference, I think they were out of office and all of that and so on. But I'm just letting you know. Yeah, because of course by 1995, the UNC came into office. Yeah. And don't get me vexed, because it have more. Don't get me vexed. But it's 9:59. They are cowards. Their underbelly is pap. It's called pap. Rotten breadfruit. Pap. Where Heinz was, where Rowley was. In 1990, they were hiding below some rock. When I was out there trying, of course, to salvage our democracy and to repair the messes of Parliament, where were they? Signed your backside, you're that blasted fool. But you, Garcia, and there's more about Garcia, I will bring it up to you. I told you that it will be a long, hot 12 months for this administration. So I finished with Rowley, I finished with Heinz, and I finished with Garcia. You hear what I say? I say I ain't finished with Rowley, I finished with Heinz, and I finished with Garcia. There's more. One night alone is insufficient to, of course, talk about those experiences. You know what I say? I said those experiences. Experience the best teacher. It's hot inside of here. I hope somebody can put on the turbo because I'm extremely warm at this point in time. But of course, we are nearing, of course, it's 10 o'clock in fact. Yes, it's 10 o'clock, people. Yes, a long, hot 12 months for this administration. Mark my words, I ain't finished with Rowley yet, and I ain't finished with Heinz, and I ain't finished with Garcia, and there is more to come. I ain't talked about, of course, Donald Cox yet. I ain't talked about Donald Cox yet. You will hear about Donald Cox. Yes, you will hear about Nyland Hippolyte, a former, but nonetheless, the experience I'm talking about here. And there is no one in Trinidad and Tobago have that kind of experience. Why you think they afraid me so? Why you think I'm so imbuing of trepidation? And I get a platform like this. They try to stop me, of course, on 104.7. They try to stop me in 104.7. Rowley. But, of course, who God bless, no man curse. And when you are a believer in existentialism, where you carve your own path. And even if it is, of course, deviant or variant from that of the norm, you need to, of course, pursue it, particularly when it is one of a path of righteousness. Not the asshole talk that Hines will say, wrongshiousness. There is no such word. Exhibiting a set of malapropism. Look for the damn word, Hines. Malapropism. Big talk, but waste a blasted time. You're hollow. Let's get down to it. We have to get serious in this country. And if Laventil and Diego Martin and East Port of Spain and Tonopuna and St. Joseph and Arima, and while, of course, we're saying good sign with respect, of course, to Sangregandia and Toko, I want to say that the presence of a PNM in the office of the parliamentary representative is not good enough. It's not sufficient for you to, of course, decidedly dismiss the PNM at the local government level, but you must do so at the national level as well. This is not called East-West Corridor in joke. It's a serious business. And in the coming months, you are going to see the manifestations thereof. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. It is, of course, we started at just about 4 minutes into your time, so you have gotten it back. I'm going to leave you in suspense. As I said, there is more. Donna Cox, Martin Joseph, even Manning. But the creme de la creme, Rowley. Let's go straight to the lines. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Pleasant good night, Mr. Lennox Smith.
Good night to you as well, my friend.
Mr. Lennox Smith, I want to find out how Hines know where the boat going to Guyana. But they don't know the boat name, they don't know where it come from, but they know where it going.
That's the takeaway.
I can understand.
That's a takeaway responsibility and to ship it as they would do for their political indolence. Go ahead. Sorry.
Them really stupid, but I don't know. No, that's okay. They according to Rowley, the people in Trinidad really stupid because if they could tell you that, they know where the boat going, but they don't know where it come from. It's a cover up, something going on there, something. But I feel this is a blessing, you know. I feel this is a blessing. I feel this will boast out well big against Rowley and them.
That's right.
Something going on there because look at it. And Robert said the boat was in Venezuela. And it moved from Aruba to Venezuela and all over the place it running there. But the final place it really had a sneakiness into Trinidad. And you know this, the saying is bunk of fuel, meaning the senior council guy who got the bunks of fuel.
Yes, the fellow who
contract with the government,
who was part of the conspiracy to threaten the radio station so that I cannot say Rowley's a rapist.
Yeah. That's the man in charge of the telecommunication unit.
That's the man. Yes.
Something, and you see what happened. Somebody will talk against PNM from the PNM one day, you know. Maybe this time it might be the day because them fellas ain't going down by themselves, as bad as it is, because they could come the chief witness, you understand what I mean?
Yes, that's
or
right.
the state witness, I should say.
Yes, that is a true,
yeah. So that is a thing. I don't understand how them know the boat going Guyana. Yes, this is a true thing for disaster for the PNM, which is a good thing that should be celebrated by Lennox as I'm talking to you. I'm so glad to talk to you, boy. My heart goes out to Andy, boy. I'm not sure what's going on with Andy. You know, the people really missing him, the community, the whole world talking about Andy. But, you know, they're talking more about care and concern. You know, it go have the PNM big mouth and them go say all kind of things, but we don't study them. Them talking for the PNM people. But the people, the real trusted people that support the ground report. They're really concerned about him, and they miss him too because he's a fella, is a likable guy that people want to listen to him. You know what I'm saying? He talk from his heart.
Yes.
But we pray for him, man, and then you know that sooner rather than later he should be back on his feet, and things should really happen for him. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And I congratulate you guys on your new office. And man, you just get so much of thing done that even your wife say, no, that car thing happening.
You know, I talking about unemployment, you know. Me, you know that. And suddenly, look yes. So that is an accidental thing.
You see, Lennox, a lot of people who call you, them now get to know you. Them don't really know who's Lennox Smith.
Yes.
From in the times, you understand what I mean?
Yes, that's
you
right.
prove yourself, and you know what happened? You come like Pandey, you know, you're fighting against the odds, and you're fighting, and you're not giving up. You're fighting, and that is the kind of attitude that people need. But you know, one of the things for your dream, one of the things for your dream to come true, to help your dream come true, then not to for it to come true, to help it come true in a stronger way. All these people who call in the ground report and the corridor of transformation, they are assuming to be leaders in their own rights, right? Which is a good thing. So now, if the 10,000 of them who follow in the ground report, wherever they live, if it's in Laventille or Labre or Tunapuna or wherever, they have to come and organize themselves to join the party groups, talk to the members who are representing the UNC in the area, and bring in more members and strengthen it from there. You know, start the ground roots from now. I had told you that a long time.
Yes.
And I keep hearing you saying, like, one of the things you said, the people who's under 18 or the people who are approaching 18, I should say, go and get registered to come and vote. Go and register. That's a real good advice. And a lot of them will take it because they're feeling downtrodden, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But the other people who supporting the ground report and the corridor transfer, they had to do their own thing because they are pronouncing themselves as UNC, or even if it's not UNC, opposition to the PNM. So once it's opposition to the PNM, the only right-thinking people would be a UNC. If you're opposition to the PNM, then you can't be a PNM and opposing the PNM. So by being opposed to the PNM in your own area, with your leadership, with your advice, with your talking and whatever, everything is beautiful about that. But now you have to get out of that comfort zone and go an extra mile, go walk around your neighborhood, talk to your friends, organize something, try to do something, get the people to join the UNC, to start thinking UNC, join the party group. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. I hear you.
Like a lot of these ministers and them who didn't get the opportunity to fight the seat, like Vassan Bharat and them, they fight. They're going to fight and say all kind of nasty thing about UNC. They're so stupid. When a party become government, Lennox, it's over 150,000, over 150 jobs overseas at a high position, you know. So you are strong with the UNC in a high position. You have a big job to get, plus directors on board and all kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Just like you, as you was a director on the board. So that's so much a thing. You can't be what you want to be. You have to be in a helpful way, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
So it's nice talking, man. I don't want to take up all the time because you're hard working. You have to go and rest and everything, you know.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, my friend. So people are becoming conscious, of course, and that's a foreign caller. Of course, I will take the caller or the call that was coming in whilst he was speaking. I had to decline it, so but it was deliberate. So I want to tell you, you can call now. I'll wait on your call. If not, of course, I will begin the process of closing tonight's exercise because we have some additional things to take down after the program. I paused, of course, to have the program, and now it is after 10 o'clock, and we'll have to, of course, begin the process of going back there. This is George Street. This is Nelson Street. Rowley, and I'm afraid to go there, especially if they have no security. Heinz can't go there at all. Yes. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist to imagine why. But because that is the reality. I was up. I was there up to 12 o'clock last night, trying to put, of course, to try to see if we could get some current organized, and then of course tomorrow whole day we're going to deal with the water situation. We got some toilets and so on, new ones that we want to install. Yeah, and the youths and them, they're just anticipating. Yes, indeed. So I'm going to take this call. Yes, indeed. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor.
And a very good night to you, Mr. Lennox Smith.
Good night to you as well.
I called you today from Toronto with some information. I don't know if you would like to indulge in what I've got to say.
Yes, you want to say it publicly?
I did a little investigation into this ship.
Okay.
I don't care really, one way or another.
All right, okay, right, good. Well, let's go then. Go ahead.
Let me start, right?
Yes.
According to the report from the Marine Division of World Shipping, right? This ship apparently is called the Gulfstream, from what I gather, and all the evidence, audio, video, satellite, and all that.
Yeah. But is it a
now,
ship
this
or
ship,
a barge? Firstly, is it a ship or a barge?
Okay, here is the deal. I will get to that, right?
All right, okay.
You're jumping the gun a bit.
Yes.
This Gulfstream was registered, and get this,
Yeah.
in St. Kitts and Nevis. It was built in 1984.
Yes.
But it's a ship, not a barge. Now, in order to convert a ship to a barge, you have to do some work inside to put some ballast to carry all the crude oil.
Oh, I see. Okay.
For some reason, they did this. And a barge, because of the pigeonholes at the side of the body, they don't have an engine.
Right.
So the next question is, you have to have a tug. So they work like a husband and wife. It cannot go, it's not mobile. It can only be pulled by the tug.
Right.
Now, if you look at Cumana, which is a part of Venezuela, and northeastern part, it's 145 nautical miles from where it capsized.
Right.
The time to get there with a speedboat or to put people on a boat, abandon the boat, and take them to that part of Venezuela will take about 5 hours.
Okay.
If you go to Panama, if you look at a map and you measure by the inch, in geography and in coordinates, it will give you twice the amount of time and maybe 3 times the nautical miles.
Okay.
So it was sent, and this place is, I'll read you what it says. You hearing me okay?
Yes, yeah, loud and clear, everybody in the world.
Lennox?
Yes, everybody,
Okay.
yes.
The port of Cumana in Venezuela, it is situated on the northeastern coast of Venezuela.
Okay.
It serves as a strategic port in the maritime analytics of Venezuela, and it provides real-time information in the movement and current location just off the coast of Venezuela.
Right.
So it will take, if the crew was to abandon the ship, and it never came from Panama, I don't know where Rowley gets in this information. If the crew was to abandon the ship because they have to go tug and barge, they have no engine on the ship.
Right.
Okay? So it was abandoned for some reason or another. I don't know that yet. And the people maybe jump on board a boat and was taken back to Venezuela. It took like 100 nautical miles. It will take them like 5 hours.
Okay.
So this is what I come up with. That, it's a port, and I think I heard Douglas, if I'm not mistaken, said the same thing. Maybe it did come from PDVSA in Venezuela. So it couldn't be going to Guyana, because if you have a shipping manifest or you have a bill of lading, like the problem we had a couple of years ago where they had bought some oil It went to one port and came back to Venezuela, and then
Yes,
Rowley
yes,
was playing
that was
games with
fuel at the
Maduro.
time.
Can you
Fuel,
remember
yeah.
about 2 years ago?
Yes, fuel in this
So
case.
it seemed to me that something, it seems to me that if this has to go together, tug and barge, that something went wrong. I don't know what it is. And a vessel that size, 300 feet, should have a crew, according to the Maritime Association, about 18 to 20 people. So everybody abandoned ship. Maybe it was leaking, maybe it hit a reef. Why they were towing it so close to the shore of the North Atlantic? Because if you go up north, where that is, you're coming up on the east, on the west side of Africa. So it can be, and you know, in Somalia they have piracy and all that. That's on the other side.
Yeah.
So
yes.
that is a very, very quiet part of the North Atlantic. So the only feasible thing you have to look at, you have more questions than answers. Where the crew went, who controlled the crew, who owned the ship, what they were carrying, why they were carrying oil. Were they going to Venezuela? I read Mr. Jadeo, I looked at about 3 of his videos. He said they were never informed by anybody that they were bringing oil. They have their own oil. It couldn't be going to Trinidad because our refinery is down.
It's down, that's right.
So why that is here is anybody's guess. But what you could do, if you go on a map, you will see where Panama is, which is a more feasible or practical scenario.
Yes.
It has to be coming from Venezuela, because Venezuela, that port, Cumana, it's right on the coast, right on the top eastern part of Venezuela. As a matter of fact, from that top part with the binoculars, you could see Trinidad.
Yeah.
So something is not particularly right. And I did a bit of psychology, and I watched when Rowley had his interview.
Right.
If you look at Rowley's body language and his stutter and the way he was conducting himself like a guilty complex, he knows, Keith Christopher Rowley, he knows more than what he says.
That's right, exactly. We have concluded that.
And this is where it's at right now.
Very good.
And this ship, if you look at the name, what puzzles me, the Gulf Stream, the owner's supposed to be living in Turkey. And it was registered, the bad part with this, it was registered, it was carrying the flag, get this more complication, of St. Kitts and Nevis. But if the name is the Gulf Stream, that is supposed to be a cargo ship. What is a barge having the name of Gulf Stream doing abandon on the coastal waters of Tobago? Adds to the mystery.
Yes.
This mystery, Lennox, is heading nowhere. It will be very, very difficult. But I know one thing. It has crippled the economy of Tobago. Is it sabotage? Why it happened so near to the election? Why did they try, if it comes from Panama, run aground before? What made the crew abandon the ship? What is the reason? Where is the tug? Because that barge, which is carrying the name of a cargo ship, cannot run on its own. Because according to some satellite information I got, they have something called on the ship, pigeonholes. If you have pigeonholes on any ship, it can only go in a Joe, a barge, and a tug. So this is where it's at right now.
Right.
So there are more questions than answers.
Yes, indeed.
I don't know if this information is helpful, if you could do a little research and look at the tongue of Cumana on a map, measure it with a ruler, and you will get the index, like how much miles it would be, nautical miles. Measure the distance from Panama, that is up in Central America, and you could measure it and make your own deduction.
Good. I certainly will. Thank you very much.
Let me put in my 2 cents. Huh?
I said thank you very much for
Pardon?
that. I said thank you very much for that scientific assessment. Scientific assessment of the situation.
if you have my WhatsApp number,
Yes, I'll
if you
call
need any more info, because I'm going my number that coming through your phone, you might be able to see it because WhatsApp is encrypted on WhatsApp.
Yes, yes, yes.
So you will be able to ascertain that is my number. Okay, if you need to call me for any reason,
yes,
I'm computer.
good.
I like this sort of spy work. You know, it makes it. I'm
Very good.
intrigued with this kind of spy work. It's good for me. I like it.
We need people like you. We need people like you. All right?
I
We
will
need
see
people like you.
everything, and I will do due diligence and send you as much as I can send you.
Thank you.
Coming up to the election.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right. Well, thank you
I'm
very much.
also locked on to the ground report. I listen to you every morning on the ground report.
Oh, great, 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 great. The only place to be.
And by the way, give my prayers to the pit bull and tell him my prayers are with him until he recover 100%.
Yes, I certainly will. That's welcome news.
I will bid you adieu. I will bid you, as we say in French, bonsoir, bonne nuit. Have a good night. Buenas noches, and I will talk to you again soon. Okay?
Yes,
Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
God bless.
Bye-bye. All right. Yes, indeed. Well, of course, we have a very enthusiastic, of course, member of the diaspora, of course, seeking the interests of Trinidad and Tobago, and in particular Tobago in this case, because Tobago is in dire straits. I mean, Rowley will go down in the history books, and of course his legacy will be for the destruction of the homeland where he was born. I mean, and you don't want to be so infamous and of course and in infamy as that kind of should I say not epitaph but epithet epithet to have, of course, that kind of legacy as Prime Minister. The man is totally despicable. He's wicked, he's nasty. And, of course, I agree, he knows more than what he was prepared to tell us. And to, of course, try to shift whether it be lumber and aggregate. And then, of course, another one, like the Tunisian ship and all of that. And of course, the PNM came out and said that those are mere speculations, etc., etc. You're right. It was speculation too when the opposition said that the Vincent Nelson matter was bogus. It was speculation too when, of course, he said that the Brent Thomas matter was a lie. It was speculation too when he remained silent on the question of the Police Service Commission and his involvement. And it was speculation too when he said that he was not involved in the matter. He had jail and blue lights awaits the entire cabinet and anybody. That is why I suspect people like the former public utilities minister, but fellas like Al-Rari and them, they have too much at stake. He, Young, and so on, undeservingly, and they're going to stay on and sink with Rowley. Between all the members of and former members of this cabinet. Despicable, corrupt. But we cannot have it tomorrow morning because we have some more movements to make and we have to deal with deployment in the building, etc. For at least a Monday. I hope, of course, to beam from there Monday morning on the ground report and, of course, Monday night. But, of course, I may well be here tomorrow night until, of course, we settle all the other, what I consider to be accommodation issues that are of a physical nature. Have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless, and we'll see each other. Of course, let me put from and so on, and play some other music that would attract our attention at this point in time, because, of course, of the season. Yes, indeed, people. Yes, indeed.
Ooh, yeah. I don't believe in superstars, organic foods and foreign cars. I don't believe in price of gold, that certainty of growing old, that right is right and left is wrong, that north and south can get along, that east is east and west is west, and being first is always best. But I believe in love, I believe in babies, I believe in mommy and dad, and I believe in you. But I don't believe that heaven waits for only those who congregate. I know for sure that God is love. He's down below, He's up above, He's everywhere. He knows who doesn't care. I'm an ordinary man. Sometimes I wonder who I am, but I believe in love. I believe in old folks. I believe in miracles, and I believe in you. Well, I know with all my certainty what's going on with you and me is a good thing. It's true. Yes, I believe in you.
Natural beauty, you know. Yeah. No, I never been someone shy until I seen your eyes. Still I had to try. Yeah. Oh yes. Let me get my words right and then approach you. Woman, I'll treat you like a man is supposed to. You'll never have to cry. No. I know everyone can relate to when they find a special someone. And She's royal, yeah, so royal, and I want her in my life.
No word of a lie. Oh, did you ever say thank you for all the things that I've shown you? No, still I stood by you. Has it occurred to you lately how I'm feeling, my baby? No, still I stand by you. Yeah, you. Yet there is one thing I need you to know about the small matter what you neglect to show. Show me that you love me. Yeah, 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 yeah. Show me that you care, so we can be blessed now, minus the stress now. Yeah, did I render you lonely? Was I your one and only? No, still I stood by you. Did you give me more than I bargained? Drain the love out of my fountain. Yeah, still I stand by you. Yes, there is one thing I need you to know about the small matter what you neglect to show. Show me that you love me. Yeah, 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 yeah. Show me that you care, so we can be blessed now, minus the stress now. Yeah.